I think females to some extent can be overly polite. These are all generalization statements and we all come in many shapes and sizes, to some extent peacekeepers, that we do like to keep the peace and don't like to speak up too much. And we are generally the last to speak up. That is something that it doesn't matter what industry you come from, that is something that I feel that we really need to break. Yeah. And I know why, even being for myself and, where you question yourself, do I say something, do I not? I don't really know who enjoys conflict. Maybe some people do. I personally don't. But again, what that can lead to is sort of being overworked, underappreciated, etc.
That was Anika, the first female National Fleet Marketing and Strategy Manager at Toyota. Anika is a confident and capable professional with over 16 years of experience across different facets of human resources, national parts and accessories, and cross-divisional and cross-company projects. With a family background in the building industry, she brings an understanding of the building industry and chats about the synergies between the two. Welcome to ConstructHER, the video podcast series where we shine a spotlight on the remarkable women in the building and construction industry.
At Toyota, we believe in never standing still. We've always got our eyes on the road ahead. That's why we're creating innovations for a more sustainable future. Connecting you to your car to make life easier. Reimagining our cities and how we live in them. Challenging the standards so that everyone can be safe. And making a difference in our communities. Because it's in our nature to never stand still. Oh, what a feeling. Toyota.
Anika Cardamone is joining us from Toyota National. So, Anika, could you tell us what your role is at Toyota National?
Absolutely. My current role at Toyota Motor Corporation Australia is the National Fleet Sales and Strategy Manager. The role, I would say, is quite big. So not only do I manage 40% of Toyota's vehicle sales, but also all the projects that are going on in the background to support future mobility initiatives as well as the mobility digitization. So
oh my gosh,
it's very broad. Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
My head spins most days.
Yes. And we met probably about 6 months ago at the Windy Point restaurant when you came over to South Australia, where you were meeting a multitude of partners at that meal. One of the reasons that we've got you on as a guest is that you were the first female to have this role and this portfolio at Toyota. Is that right?
That is correct. At my level, that's right. So all my predecessors were male. There was a period of time where there was one senior manager above me, but from an operational staff level, from a fleet perspective where you are dealing with the customers, you have the broad portfolio and account managers. That's always been driven by and dominated by males.
Yeah. So you're at the senior exec level now within Toyota. Is that right?
I would say just below. So middle, sort of entry level exec. Yes, I would say, yeah.
And so from a peer level, have you got any other females at a peer level?
I do. So within my current division, which is national sales, I have 3 other female peers amongst, I think it would be around 6 or 7 males.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's quite good. So it's up there as a percentage really, which is really good to see at a management level.
Absolutely. And it sort of brings me a little bit of joy to represent, I might add.
Which is always good to see. I think we're about probably a similar kind of, we might be a little bit more at Master Builders itself. We've got a little bit more of a balance around 50-50, but at the senior exec level, there's 5 of us and 2 of us are female. So that's a really good representation as well. And it is one of the themes that have been in the podcast with some of the other guests, Anika, is around you can't be what you can't see, which I think is a really, really good thing to see within industry. So we're all about women in building, and I believe that there's a very good initiative at Toyota around women in the motor industry. And I think there's some synergy there. So tell us what's going on at Toyota in that space.
Absolutely. So within the automotive industry, it's not known as an industry that is gender, I'd say, equal. So I'd say master builders is good that it's sort of 50-50 from an operational level. But as you move up the hierarchy, it actually diminishes. It is a male dominant industry to still to some extent. And I'm not just talking about Toyota. I've gone to other fleet conferences and initiatives, and I tend to gravitate towards the women and say, you're amazing. What's your team like? And they're like, oh, it's predominantly male. Particularly, there are certain areas, of course, within the business that are predominantly female, such as your human resources departments, corporate services, but still the other traditional areas such as engineering, your sales, parts, accessory service still remains male dominant. But I would have to say Toyota is trying to really stamp that away and eliminate that from its culture. But
Cool.
because we've got a lot of long-serving employees, it comes with its challenges. There is change that has already happened, but a little bit more needs to happen
Yeah.
as well.
And so what was your career path? So you've been with Toyota for 12 years?
16 years, actually.
16, wow, okay. You need to update your LinkedIn profile.
Oh, 16. 16 years, actually, yes. I started off in human resources. Worked there for a period of 9 years. I then moved to parts and accessories. From parts and accessories, I moved to corporate services, working on a number of projects. And then recently, as of last year, I moved to national sales, taking over the national fleet portfolio.
And what is the size of your team?
Pardon, what was that?
What's the size of your team?
The size of my team at the moment is 12 direct reports.
Yeah. They usually say it's optimized around about 8, don't they, when it says direct reports?
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. The ideal to actually get the most work done, they say, is actually 3 to 6. Yeah. Once you're moving beyond that, because you want to give every single person the adequate time that they need to spend with you and the attention.
Yeah.
So I'm just a bit beyond that. I'm not the record keeper within my area, within my division, but I'm certainly up there.
So you obviously travel. You've got a national role. So we were just talking offline about travel and responsibilities. Usually travel is an addition to. So how do you manage and balance that?
Balancing work, travel, personal life in a demanding role. Oh, let me tell you, it is not easy at all. Every day I sort of feel at times that it is a constant struggle, and I'm not saying that balance can be done. There are days where you feel more balanced than others, perhaps. But I'll be honest, at times I have often felt that I've been drowning. You know everything that you have to do, but you actually at times don't even know where to start. I'm not sure if anyone else have felt that way, but that's the reality. And then you can you see that light of the tunnel? Maybe, but it's incredibly dim. So, and then not only when you're traveling, you're always on. So you catch the red eye flight to whatever state you need to. You then go to meetings all day, attend dinner, and in between that, you're still taking calls, answering emails on our iPhones and other devices. Then when you get home, you still have a family. You still need to be present, clean the house, and do all those things that everyone else does. So sometimes I feel that I'm predominantly a workhorse, and I think that comes with the balancing for women, that you're at work and then also you have the mental load and the additional load that you have at home. So my real work sometimes happens whether it's on the couch, in bed, or in my home study in the evenings.
Yeah.
But I do have a recent story that beyond that I'd like to share. So this year has actually been quite a challenging year for me, and going on this cycle of traveling and constantly sort of going in meetings and whatnot. And because I felt that I was a new role, like I felt I had the pressure to prove myself and particularly work that little bit harder than my male counterparts who've been in that role for 5, 6, 7 years. I was the new kid on the block. So because of all these long hours, travel, etc., I experienced burnout actually.
Oh, wow.
And ended up in hospital for a week.
Oh my God. In Perth, so you weren't even in your home state.
I wasn't in, not at all.
Oh my God. And how did you cope with that?
It was incredibly hard. I just couldn't slow down, and my body was telling me to slow down, and I didn't listen. So all I can say for all those ladies out there, listen to your bodies. I mean, for me, it was a wake-up call that things needed to change. Look, I developed strategies for better time management to get my priorities right and basically apply a more triage approach to the things that I do. And I have a little bit of a motto that I want to share. It's assess before you say yes.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, assess before you say yes, because we as females, we generally are out there. We like to please, and we have that attitude where we can do all of it. Yeah, most of the time we can, but at times we can't. So I make sure, you know what, I don't need to go to every single meeting. Whether it's within the same state or interstate. When I'm at home, I'll often leave my phone in my bag on silent, not intentionally, but sometimes intentionally, or at a distance that I don't answer, going, oops, okay. Look, it's been a journey, but it's made me stronger. And if I ever saw any of my team sort of having the symptoms of burnout, I would pull them right up.
And do you mind sharing what the symptoms were for you, Anika?
Constant fatigue, ridiculous hours. I was working 15, 16-hour days, so online. If I see my team working online, I'll be like, what are you doing online? Why are you online? Can this not wait till tomorrow?
So hang on a second, I'm going to pull you up now. So if you can see your team online, does that mean you're online too? Or is that more retrospectively you're looking and going, why they...
Retrospectively, yeah.
That's all right then.
Yeah, absolutely, retrospectively.
Yeah. And I must admit, I'm the same with my team as well. It's just observing why are you sending an email at X time? Is there a reason why this can't be done during your working hours, and what can we do to support you? And sometimes that can just that little bit of noticing you can spot something that you need to do something about.
Exactly. And I'm just putting it out there. So we not only do we work, but we also have home life that our whole family to some extent depends on us.
Yes, definitely. It's interesting about devices, and a lot of people sometimes say to me, oh, you like your fitness, you need to get an Apple Watch and things like that, but it's just there constantly, and I will not get a smartwatch. I don't really want to know when my heartbeats are going up at work or anything like that. Sometimes that can just be a bit of a spiral. I won't have one. Because I just think there's an element of switching off. I get lots of people complain because I don't have my notifications on my phone. I did something very similar, not necessarily a burnout as such, but I listened to a podcast and it was that constant notification, picking up the phone. It makes it harder to switch off. And then by doing that all the time, your body is wanting that fix. So I don't have notifications, and I have this attitude, if it's that urgent, someone will call me.
Absolutely. And I think your approach is amazing.
Yeah.
That you've disciplined yourself.
It's hard
to do so.
It's hard. And if I put any app on my phone, it's like notifications is off, locations off, everything. I'm not going to sign up to that. So, so do you have a family, Anika, that you're balancing as well as work? You did sort of slightly allude to it in your chat.
Yes, I do have a family. I have 2 boys. I have an 18-year-old who is self-sufficient. However, he was going through year 12, where it's more about that emotional support, about, him going through his final year of school, and yeah, it's a roller coaster that year. And I do have a 12-year-old son as well, so who do call me often for things and even just to look for things. And I'll generally say, have you looked properly or are you having a man look?
Definitely.
Yes.
Can I ask, because I know Toyota are a massive corporation, when you were in Perth, were they there for you to, with their employment assistance programs, etc.? Did you feel that you could, that the support was there from an organisational perspective?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So they would check on me frequently. I had some of the regional staff also support and visit and offer any additional assistance and whatnot. So Toyota were incredible during that time. I actually just needed to rest, but there was a lot of check-ins as well. So I guess they were just worried, and I was very open and honest that I needed to get a range of tests done and that I needed to rest. And yeah, they were absolutely incredible.
Yeah, fantastic. I know that within Master Builders, we're seeing not necessarily burnout as such, but I think people who just keep going because there's a skill shortage at the moment. And I know there's a skill shortage just as much in the automotive industry as well. We've been very fortunate, Master Builders, to have a program that we've called RISE, which has received some state funding to support a number of small businesses or anybody within the building and construction industry to speak to somebody, reach out. It could be any aspect that they're seeking support with. So they're all got different experts that you can actually call upon at any given time. And I think that's proven to be, we're getting uptake on that now. And that's proven to be really, really useful, because if you're not part of a corporation and you're a small business owner, where do you actually go? Or if you're a sole trader, you don't really have an employment assistance program for yourself, if that makes sense.
That's exactly right. And I guess Master Builders promoting that and giving all people within the construction industry access to, because there are things that you cannot talk to your direct management or bosses about, them, having contracts and obligations that they must finish a job, whereas you've got commitments, or you have your child's, dance concert or something that you have to attend, and you want to attend to be present, yet you have to, you have a job that has to be finished. So it's really, really hard and to balance that, and even how to approach your boss. Does it offer those sort of services as well?
Yeah, and everybody's got deadlines.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and one of my things is sometimes when I see some of my, when people are working at like 6 p.m. and they turn around and go, I've got to get this done. I go, well, who's going to do it? Can it not wait till tomorrow? Because then the other person that you might be sending that email to, are they going to be, they shouldn't be working. So I'm sure it can wait.
That's exactly right. And a little motto that I have for my staff as well, I remind them, I said, are we saving lives? Are we surgeons? And they're like, no. And I'm like, is anyone dying? They're like, no. I'm like, then it's going to be okay.
I may have a little bit of an exception with that, with apprentices on site and injuries and safety.
No, I don't mean that.
No, that's fine. That's
admin-related tasks and other things that people think are really prevalent, and yes, they are, but injuries, that is totally different.
Yes, definitely. The injuries on site and apprenticeship safety is, that takes precedent over everything. And even though I don't get notifications on my phone or anything like that, I got some tips and tricks with the basic Outlook email. And if something comes in my inbox and it's an apprenticeship injury, it's a size 14 font, bright red, it just bang sticks out. And I know that that's a priority. But even things like that, set up rules in your inbox for Outlook, all these kind of things, they're all tips and tricks. But one of the problems you did allude to it slightly, Anika, was you need to do something, but it just becomes another task. And then that in itself becomes overwhelming. So sometimes you can get into a little bit of a spiral or a bit of a vicious circle that you can't seem to get out of, because it just becomes another task on the to-do list that is going to help you, but it's just another task.
Exactly right. And we will get to it as we do with all the tasks.
We do. We get to it.
Always seem to get to it. Yeah.
We do. And can I ask, this is just are you a list person? Are you a to-do list
I
person?
am a list. No, I'm a to-do list person. And a little bit of a key that I have to myself, my daily list starts with only 3 things.
Oh,
I'll only have 3 items on my to-do list just to tackle. And once I finish those 3, I'll add another 3, because as soon as your list becomes long, that is when those elements become quite overwhelming for some people. And a little bit for me, I feel like a sense of achievement. I can tick off those 3, done, list done, next. So that is the way I like to tackle. So small and nimble lists, even though the tasks may be quite big, to ensure that I sort of meet my objectives.
So is there anything that so obviously Master Builders, our national office, and Master Builders South Australia have had a great relationship with Toyota for, significant number of years actually. And you obviously sponsor our High-Vis Women Build an SA program, which we're very, very grateful for your support with that, which is obviously we have our annual luncheon that we have every May. That's great that you bring along some of your team and your workforce to that, and also a way to also thank some of your own clients and customers who are in the building industry to come along and learn more about what's going on within the industry. So have you got any stats and facts about what's happening within the motor industry when it comes to female? We talked about the level that you're at, but is there any targets in that space?
We definitely do have targets that we are moving towards, particularly from a gender pay gap. Okay. I know that is something that has been demonstrated in a number of meetings. So, and Toyota has openly said that we do have a gender pay gap, and that we are slowly closing that gender pay gap. So I know that is something that Toyota has recognised that needs to change as well. So I'm not sure how that applies to the construction industry, but I'm really curious. I have to look at those stats too. But that is probably a key item. That is the talk and what's happening there. So particularly from a female perspective.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything from that space. I mean, a lot from certain aspects of our industry are governed through award rates and things like that. It doesn't differentiate that, especially at an apprenticeship level. There's no differentiation between gender, which is great. It's just based on award and experience. I suspect when you go through to the white collar industries, there may be a reflection of that, especially if people have, similar to yourself, they may have come from more corporate back office roles that have predominantly been female into other aspects of the business. There could be that gender pay gap that could be identified across the board within the industry. So I think there is we're not exempt, let's just say that.
No, but you know what? But the fact that you actually have that equitable framework structure, I think is incredible. And it also encourages young women to actually join the industry, and they know that where they stand is on par with their male counterparts. So I think that within itself is very empowering.
What advice would you give a young female who is looking to pursue a career besides it being building or automotive?
What I really want to perhaps get across is sort of maybe advice for young women, pursuing a career. And I think females to some extent can be overly polite. These are all generalization statements, and we all come in many shapes and sizes, to some extent peacekeepers, that we do like to keep the peace and don't like to speak up too much. So, and we are generally the last to speak up. That is something that doesn't matter what industry you come from, that is something that I feel that we really need to break.
Yeah. And
I know why, even being for myself, and, where you question yourself, do I say something? Do I not? I don't really know who enjoys conflict. Maybe some people do. I personally don't. But again, what that can lead to is sort of being overworked, underappreciated, etc. So what I want to demonstrate and really promote is that we need to break free from any of this subconscious programming, and we need to sort of demonstrate that we are we are just as ambitious, assertive and confident as our male counterparts. So what I want to put out there is, doesn't matter, don't be afraid to speak up, take those risks and stand up for yourselves. Anyone else that your male counterparts would absolutely stand up and say something. So I guess that's the message that I want. Doesn't matter what industry you are, you need to not be afraid, and you need to speak up.
I 100% agree with you, Anika, that it's really, really important that females feel that they can stand up, be heard, speak. They have great ideas. A lot of the things that have happened over the course of a few of the interviews that we had is that females bring a different perspective. They can bring and add value to an organisation, to teams, etc. I think one of the key things that's really important, and Hive is something that champions this, and you've also spoken about the women in automotive, is that by building your networks, working with other females at a peer-to-peer level, that all helps to build the confidence that you do have something to add.
Absolutely. And I always tell everyone, success is not achieved alone. Exactly like you mentioned, build your network, colleagues, friends that are your support along the way.
I absolutely adore some of your mottos that you're applying to your role. I think the assess before you say yes, I think I'm going to take that away. That's going to be my takeaway from today. But thank you so much for your time, Anika. It was an absolute pleasure. And continue onwards and upwards.
Thank you so much for inviting me to this amazing podcast.
If you'd like to find out more about Master Builders and becoming a member of the HiViz community, then visit www.mbasa.com.au. But if you want to learn more about having a career in the industry, if you're a young person or looking to change your career, then look no further than the born2build.com.au website, where you'll be able to access information about all the different roles, what a day in the life looks like, and the potential salary options.